Okay, today I'm going to throw some tumblers with about 1.5 pounds worth of clay here. It's porcelain called Domestic from up near Tulsa. I get it from Paseo Pottery up in Oklahoma City. It's a pretty good porcelain clay. It's really plastic, really easy to throw with. And let's get started. So, centering it, just make sure your hands are lubricated. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time and pushing with the heel of our hand, almost like we're pushing towards 1 o'clock on the wheel. And then we're going to pull back a little bit with our fingers here. And then with the right hand, we're going to karate chop the top. So we're going to push our hand down at the top at an angle. And then this pinky on the left hand here is cupping in the bottom. So just kind of push and pull and compress. Eventually you'll center it, which is easy for me to say because I've been doing it for a couple years. It is much harder than it looks if you're first starting out, but once you get the trick of it and know what the feel of center is, it gets much easier and you could do it much quicker. Because you don't want to spend minutes centering, because the more water goes into the clay, the more weak it's going to be. So what I normally do is I start a little well in the top of the pot, or what will be the pot, and I fill that with water so that when I push down and drop the well and pull out a little bit, that it doesn't dry out too much, because if it dries out, it'll catch your finger and kind of drag you around a little bit. So make sure the bottom is clean down here where we're going to pinch at. And we're just pinching with these fingers, thumb on the outside, index and pointing finger on the inside. With the sponge on the top, just keeping the top compressed so that it doesn't get uneven. And we're still throwing into a cone shape because I don't want it to flare out too much, because this is going to be a cylinder. So keep cleaning that bottom. Keep it wet, but not so much that you have water sitting in the bottom of it. If you have too much water down there, the clay will start to absorb it, and you'll have a really weak bottom that is prone to cracking. What they call an S-crack looks exactly what it sounds like, is a crack in the bottom of your pot in the shape of an S from lack of compression, and sometimes that's caused by because you could compress the bottom and then fill it with water, and it'll reinflate like a sponge and just kind of fill up with water in the clay. So you could have compressed it in the beginning, but if you let water sit down there, it slowly reinflates. So I like to keep that bottom clean so that I don't miss any clay down at the bottom. We're going to cut some off anyways, but so this is going to be my last pull to get height on it. What we're aiming for is just I'm aiming for 6-inch tumblers so that they'll be about 5.5, 5.25 inches tall after they come out of the final firing. So we want to get that height on there and make sure the walls are fairly even, and then we could start shaping the clay, which is what I'm going to do now. And I'm just going to push out the bottom of the pot just so it kind of flares out a little bit, and then I'm going to go pushing in. The inside hand is just supporting so I don't go too far. And push in and then bell back out at the top, and then we're going to come in with I'm doing the same thing with this, just going the opposite direction, pushing in a little bit to try to refine that shape. And we're going to go in with a metal rib. You could use a soft, flexible rib of any kind, but this just allows me to bend it into different concave and convex shapes to use. And so we're just going to bend it and clean up that middle, and then bend it the opposite direction, so concave, and then we're going to do that top, just so it's just a slight curve. and a slight curve, just so it kind of undulates. Nothing too fancy. You want to make sure your rim is free of any slip and smoothed out. And then we're going to trim the bottom a bit. And doing this, I'm just using my right hand and then my left hand for support. So if it gets caught in the clay, it won't go too far. But just going at an angle and then scraping that clay off. And clean it up a little bit more. Because my idea on these ones is not to trim them, but just to have them finished form. I'm going to let them dry, and then the next time you see this, it'll be, I'm going to work with shellac as a water resist, and this will be bone dry when we do it, so that we could wash off the areas that aren't shellacked, and it'll leave a raised design where the shellac is. So, and we might even give it a layer of slip, a different color slip, so that there'll be some color variations along with the texture and the elevation changes. So, all right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.